And a good Wednesday morning, Quad Cities. It is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. It is 9 o'clock on the dot, and it is time for Ask Andrew Live. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzke.
And I'm weather anchor Peter Warner. Not too bad of a day, really, today.
Oh, I am loving these temperatures coming in for today. Nice warmth, some sunshine, another great day for shorts.
Great day for shorts and flip-flops.
And flip-flops. Mine are out.
Mine are out, too. Mine were yesterday.
Yep, any excuse I can get to wear those.
Oh, yeah.
We love it. So we'll get into the forecast, including some warmth. We're also going to talk about the UV index, including higher and higher in the next several weeks. And that means your skin is going to be at risk if you're not properly protecting your skin as you go outside.
Got to get that sunscreen out.
You really do. So let's not get out of that habit. We're going to have to get back into it here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that. And is it true, the old wives' tale, if it rains on Easter Sunday, it's probably going to rain the next 7 Sundays in a row after?
Interesting.
Yes, I had a lot of you comment this on my Facebook page over the weekend, and a couple submissions too. So I went ahead and did that for our Ask Andrew this morning. So we'll dig into that as well.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll see what the data says. If you're new, welcome. This is an offering right here on the A+ app that you obviously have downloaded on your TV, and you're now watching us for free here. Welcome aboard. How this works is we're going to go over what we talked about this morning in terms of our Ask Andrew question and the one we did on Monday as well. Do a little weather chat, because we do have a weather impact alert in place already for next week. Things are cooking.
Things are cooking up.
Again. So welcome to April and May in the Quad Cities. Severe weather season, if you will, in full swing here. We'll get into that as well. If you have a question that you would like to ask us, you can simply text it to 309-304-0888, 309-304-0888, and
309-304-0888.
8. A lot of our favorite number in there.
That is.
What a
at least the number 8.
Yes, exactly. So text it to that there. You can also submit it if you're watching us on the Facebook stream. You can put it in the comments section. But I really encourage you to use that texting option, because eventually everything will switch over to the text method of submitting those questions. So practice makes perfect. Go ahead and use that, and then our amazing digital team folks will get it in our direction where it needs to go.
Yeah, we'll get them right here.
Yeah.
We'll get them answered.
We'll dig right into them coming up in just a few minutes.
Just weather-related only.
That's right. Don't make it weird.
Don't make it weird.
As we always say. Yep. So we'll go ahead and we'll dig into our question that we had today, and that's the Easter Sunday question. Is it true that if it rains on Easter, you're going to get 7 consecutive Sundays after that in a row that are going to be wet? They're going to have rain.
Interesting.
I know. And you read that at first, and it's like, wow, that seems kind of rare. How do you get 7 Sundays in a row? It's kind of unlucky.
I would say, where'd that tale come from, too? I guess lucky number 7, maybe.
Maybe that's where it comes from, with gambling and that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird, but apparently it's something that's very well known. And I just found out about it last year. I'd never heard of this until last year when someone brought it to my attention. So I dug into all the data, and here's what I found. So going back into the early 1950s, that's what I had Easter Sunday data for. So since then, there's been about 56 years or 56 Easter Sundays that have had rain.
That seems like a high number.
It is quite a few.
Right, compared to
like an average Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does seem quite elevated. Yeah. So I was like, okay, there was quite a few of them. Maybe there's something to this myth or this wives' tale. But when I dug further, only one year, and that was 1967, had 7 preceding Sundays that had rain. One.
See, that makes sense. So I was going to say, 7 Sundays with rain, even in this type of year with severe season, is still a lot for one day of a week.
That's a lot of unsettled weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just like mind blown. But get this. This might be a little bit more accurate. Maybe we need to reword this wives' tale. There were actually 15 of those 56 years that had rain following Sunday after Easter. So that's a little bit higher of a statistic compared to the all 7.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
That makes more sense to me. So maybe somewhere along, the timeline of all of this, when it first was blabbered out or whatever you want to say or declared, maybe the wording got twisted. Maybe it's supposed to be the following Sunday is going to have rain. Yeah. Maybe that's what it means.
Maybe.
That would have a little bit more merit to it. But if you're going off the original, phrase, it's not true.
No.
We've only had this happen once, and that's not a very good probability of it happening ever again. And so
that's less than 2%.
It is very low. Very, very low.
Yeah.
So we put that to bed. with that Ask Andrew this morning. The other one we did on Monday has to do with the sun.
Ooh.
It's getting stronger.
Summer season.
Getting
I'm
very
waiting for the
strong.
pool to open at the apartment.
It probably won't be long. Maybe Memorial Day, I think, for
thinking,
most folks.
hoping.
Yeah. And Memorial Day, I'll give another week here, probably is about a month away. So we're getting closer and closer. And that means when we get outside, we have to be more aware of what's going on in terms of the sun. So we all know what the UV is, right? And if you don't, here's a quick reminder. We talk about that spectrum of visible light. If you've taken chemistry or physics in high school or college, you've heard Roy G. Biv, where you have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. I had to look at it in my mind for a second to make sure I had them in the right order.
Yeah.
So the UV rays, they're invisible. We can't see them. You can't go outside and see, the rays of the sun coming down. They're not little red squiggly lines or purple squiggly lines. But they actually impact the health of your skin. And it was interesting when I was looking up the data, the UV rays cause the most common type of cancer here in the United States, which is skin cancer.
Yes.
Believe it or not. So it is very, very important that you are aware of the UV index and what it means and what the different numbers mean. So let's go over that really quickly, and you'll be able to see this too. We cover this in the Weather and Your Health segment in the 11 every day. We show you the UV index. Right now it's been in like the 5 to 7 range. So you get a sunburn in about 30 minutes. But in a few weeks' time, you're going to see that go up to 8, 9, and when we get to the peak of summer, it goes close to 10.
Yes.
And that means 20 to 25 minutes for a sunburn. And the dermatology folks say it only takes one severe sunburn to increase your skin cancer risk quite a significant amount. So I know as kids growing up, we always got a sunburn here and there. It wasn't frequent, but you always kind of get your ego involved. And you're like, you know what? I don't need sunscreen. Today it's cloudy. I'm not going to get sunburn.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get burned and you're like, never doing that again.
Oh, yeah. This was the big story every day back home for me growing up, too.
When you have that farther south latitude.
Yeah. You get a little bit higher UV index, and it's a big thing.
I believe you guys in Phoenix, you get to 11 plus.
Oh, yeah.
in the
There's some
summer,
days
right?
where we've seen like 12, 13.
Yeah.
Almost, it seems.
So that's like less than 10 minutes
Yeah.
to a sunburn.
I still thought I was a superhuman when I was 7, 8 years old, but
We've all been
did,
there.
but yes,
We've all
definitely.
been there.
sunscreen is crucial.
Yeah, gotta have it. So that's something we'll continue to see climb in the weeks ahead. So great questions this week. I want to thank both folks that submitted those. And a reminder, you can submit your question, whether it's here or at the website at WQAD.com, because I have pulled a few from the ones that we've done here in the chats to do a deeper dive on. So as always, if you have a question, go ahead and throw it in there, because it may be one that I'll reach out and do one of these explainers for a Monday or a Wednesday.
It's just like the smell of rain you did. Was that last week?
Yeah, we did the smell of rain last week. We broke down the chemistry of that and some of the plant oils involved. And even I learned a couple of things doing that too.
It's always so fun.
Yeah, we always learn a lot.
Learning is fun.
That's right. And that's our goal here. We want to be able to learn something. Let's talk about what's going on today weather-wise. We thankfully didn't have any severe weather to talk about here this morning. However, our neighbors to the west, you were showing me a huge picture from Nevada, Iowa.
Yes. Nevada had, in Story County, they had some severe storms rolling through into Webster County. Some of those, central Iowa, but a little bit further, I guess, to the east in central Iowa, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We saw some, I think about 5 or 6 severe thunderstorm warnings last night, with hail being the largest threat. Yeah, there's about a ping pong sized hail, just about that big, out in Nevada yesterday in Story County. So some severe weather did come out of the system. It just kind of didn't hold together, almost, you could say, here.
It just happened to miss us, which I don't mind. Again, I just got a new roof here in the last year, and I don't want hail anywhere near my new roof. But yeah, you were showing me the picture earlier, and I can actually take you back on the radar here so you can see what happened last night. So I went to bed about 8:30 last night, looked at the radar, it's like, oh, nothing's happening yet. But once we got past 10 o'clock, that's where you see that big storm forming right there north of Des Moines.
And that's in Story County.
That's right near Nevada, yeah. So that large hail developing. And what was supposed to happen is that was supposed to be a little bit further south, kind of closer to Interstate 80. So that storm just drifted essentially due east. It sank a little bit further south eventually, but weakened as it did. So there you see its evolution. So we did get the storm coverage last night. It just happened to be a little bit further to the north to start with, before we saw more of that fill in, and thankfully no severe weather reported with any of that here. But it looks like you had a good lightning storm, looking at the lightning data south of Clinton.
It was gorgeous driving in this morning. Whole sky was just lit up like purplish white.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
It was So, I mean, again, us here, we love seeing lightning. That's like our favorite thing to just like look at pictures of lightning. But yeah, it was truly an incredible light show. And I even saw some south of the Quad Cities driving in across the river here today as well.
I'd believe it. I would believe it. There's the very electrified storms that are coming through. I can show you the radar picture right now, and that continues to show some scattered showers. Doesn't look like any lightning. We have 0 on the counter there. So now this is just all rain. And honestly, for the next few hours, the rain is going to be limited to areas north of the Quad Cities. You can see not much going on to the south. There's not much going on to the southwest. That activity there in southern Iowa appears to be falling apart.
That was a little blip.
Yeah. You can see the lightning data has kind of collapsed as it moves off to the east. So I do expect we're going to get some dry hours here as we go into this afternoon. That should get temperatures close to 80 degrees, especially if we can get some of that sun. And you notice we're keeping the skies quiet. There will be another round of rain and rumbles, nothing severe tonight, but that's coming in for those same areas. It looks like north of the Quad Cities. And then tomorrow will really be a warm day, especially the fact that we're not going to have a whole bunch of rain in the morning. We're going to pop it up to 84 in the afternoon. Yeah, so really feeling like summer. Now I'll show you the 8-day and we'll dive into this weather impact alert really quick here, and then we'll get to your questions. We still have an isolated shower thunderstorm as we get through the next couple of days here. Oh, as we go into Friday, some showers coming in as well. So the weekend, there's some good news on the weekend, and that is Sunday looks like it's going to be dry. What did you have for Sunday in Des Moines? I'm kind of curious.
I had 20, so I originally had 60% chance of showers. Yesterday I dropped it to 40. Now I've dropped it to 20.
Hey, so we're on the same wavelength.
We're on the same wavelength,
okay.
Yes. It's slowly decreasing those chances, but it's trending towards that red bar.
Yes, into Monday. And that's what we're going to be watching and tracking next week. We have 2 days for right now. Will it stay 2 days? Probably not. We'll probably be able to tighten this up. We got to wait for the timing of the cold front and the warm front and everything else to get established. But we think at least those 2 days are worth watching. As we get closer, we'll be able to tighten that up a little bit more. Maybe as early as Friday morning, we'll be able to maybe eliminate one of those red boxes. But for sure, early next week, this is going to be a problem for us. So we put the impact alert there. Again, we can't give you the specific timing yet because it's so far out. But we can tell you, as Peter and I were discussing, everything is on the table. We don't know which day in particular is going to be the wind versus the hail or the tornado day. We won't find that out until we get to Sunday morning. At the earliest when we get those storm zones.
Yes.
So right now, everything is on the table for both days. When we get closer, we'll be able to pinpoint exactly where the higher threat for each individual threat will be.
Yeah, I mean, and even leading up to that, each and every day, we'll be able to develop higher confidence.
Yes.
And what those threats could be, even without getting, say, the threat zones from the National or the Storm Prediction Center.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we'll continue to fine tune this, and every day we will be able to kind of close in that data more and more. It's kind of like what we always say is about 5 days out, we see it. 5, 6, 7 days out, we see it.
Yep.
But once we get to day 4, you're going to kind of get a little bit more fine tuning. It'll continue to get fine tuned here in the days ahead. So stay tuned. Even maybe before Sunday, we could have that.
Yeah, we're going to glean a lot more information here in the next few days ahead. We'll show you the setup here because the zones, at least the storm zones themselves, are already established by the Storm Prediction Center. So if you look off to the west of us, this is going to be for Monday of next week. There's a big sizable dip in the jet stream there. We've got very strong jet stream winds racing in out of the southwest, and that's going to mean a cold front and a low pressure system will start approaching us sometime on Monday into Tuesday. Now, these are the severe storm zones for Monday, and you can see that it does include a good chunk of the Quad Cities. Yep. It is the metro and essentially all areas west. And then it decreases to a 1 out of 5 as we go east of the Quad Cities. You go to Tuesday and you notice, yeah, there's a little bit of eastward movement here, but still a considerable chunk of the region is under that 2 out of 5 threat already.
Yeah, that's a significant threat. And again, I think something really to note here is not only that trough we have set up, but the fact that we're seeing these warnings so early.
Yes.
Or I guess these outlooks, because we typically, I mean, you can see it, 6, 7 days out, but I feel like you don't typically see it level 2 until about day, 3, 4?
You're correct, yes.
So.
And there's been a precedent. The Storm Prediction Center and the folks there have been doing a fantastic job, I have noticed, in just the last couple of years alone. When they put out these big risks on these days that are way ahead of themselves, the majority of the time, I can tell you, they do pan out. There is something big that happens, whether it's the coverage of the storms are big or the magnitude and the severity of the storms is big. Something always seems to happen in those zones. So they don't, I always tell people, they don't do this lightly. They don't just broad brush a level 2 7 days out and say, okay, this is, you know, whatever. They really have to dig into this, and they have to have high confidence that something is going to happen in order to put a 2 out of 5 risk on the board about a week out.
Yeah, and on back-to-back days too.
Yeah. So we do appear it's going to be active next week. We've got a lot, of course, that we're going to learn in the days ahead, like Peter said. So I would encourage you to stick with us. Again, this is just a advanced heads up. We just want to put that out there as early as possible. Something to keep an eye on, nothing to panic about right now. We will continue to fine tune that. And like you said, probably Friday into Saturday, perhaps as early as those 2 days, we could see the timing get a little clearer, the threats get a little bit clearer, and we'll be able to get you better prepared for what will come our way early next week.
Yes, something to just keep an eye on.
Yeah. I'm just glad the severe storms are avoiding the weekend for a multitude of reasons. I'd rather have it during the week. For many, many, many different reasons, but yeah,
all kinds.
That's one silver lining, at least for now.
That's true.
So I'm happy about that.
Yes.
If we have a couple of questions, I think sitting in the tank, we can get to those. There's also more weather we can talk about too if we need to fill in some time.
Oh yeah.
But kind of curious to see what folks are saying this morning.
Yeah, Judy is wondering, what is the weather in Geneseo looking like today?
You know what? It's looking pretty good.
It is.
As someone who's going to be in Geneseo this afternoon for most of the day and the rest of the day anyway, I think still some sunshine, and we're going to get close to 80 even in Geneseo today.
80.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I still need to mow my lawn, so I'm going to have to, when I get home, I'll have to do the dry test, you know, see if it's still wet.
Oh, yeah.
If it's still wet, get clumps. You can't really mow when the lawn's wet. Yeah. I also have a lot of leaves to do, but now they're soaked again, so I'm going to have to wait on those. And I can't win with leaves this year, I tell you. It's those darn oak trees. The oak trees are the ones that are the last to lose theyear leaves, and it usually happens in January or February.
I know, they're delayed. I learned that for the first time.
They're a beautiful tree, and they're beautiful wood, but they're a pain in the you-know-what when it comes to cleaning up those leaves.
They are. It looks like it. I haven't had to deal with my own leaves. Well, I've raked leaves before, like when I was a kid, but like never here yet. I'm like, I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, you'll learn. You will learn. You do all this work in the fall to clean up the leaves and make it look pretty so that you have less work to do in the spring. And then the oak trees lose their leaves in January and February, and it's like, guess what? You got to do it all over again.
Do it all over again.
Darn it.
Darn it. Oh, goodness.
The joys of home ownership.
That's true. Not there yet. Lennon said tornadoes are probably next Monday into Tuesday. We're at like, what, a 10% we are now at a 10% probability, and there's a potential, right?
Potential's definitely there. It's absolutely there, yeah. In terms of what day is going to have that big tornado threat, that we don't know yet. We know that everything's on the table this far out, but we don't know where the higher tornado threat is going to be. Now, one thing, you know, if you want to get a little funky here with this, we could, with this scene, pop on the low-level wind pattern.
Ooh.
So you can compare the different wind directions with the height. So let me play around with this for a brief second. We're going to have to turn a couple layers off because we got a lot going on here.
This is a busy scene.
This is very, very busy scene. So if we go to the surface, we're going to turn on surface, and we're also going to go up a little bit higher into the atmosphere. And I'm going to change this to a different color so that we can differentiate the two. We're going to make one orange, we're going to make one white, and I'm also going to show all of our wind data. So we're going to see this map fill in a little bit more. So what we want to look at are winds that are going to be going in varying directions. So I'm also going to remove some of this extra stuff. So again, we're working this with this live here for you. Give me a second. And if we go into Monday, oh, I got another polygon I need to take off. There's just, it's a very, very
complex
intense scene, yes. So what we want to see is, generally speaking, we want to see a southeast wind at the ground, and the ground wind speed and direction is in white, or gray arrows. The middle part of the atmosphere we're looking at in the orange arrows. So let's take off the zoom so I can stay in one camera shot. There we go. So we're going to put this over the Quad Cities, and we're just going to kind of go through time. So we really have a lot of southerly component to the wind on the ground. And then up above, it kind of turns more to the southwest. So what we're looking for is something that's a little bit more southeast, and I just don't see it yet.
Not yet.
It looks like there's a little bit of shear in there, but it's not really enough shear, I don't think, to get a whole lot of spinning. But again, you have to remember, this is so far out into the future that we're not really seeing the finer details. But right now, it doesn't look like the tornado threat is overly high as of right now. Now, one thing you could have happen is a repeat of Sunday where you get a line.
That's true.
And you're going to get these brief spin-up tornadoes.
Yes, and that's what we saw. We saw a significant total on Sunday, too.
We did. We really did. And actually, I had a couple questions if we don't have any sitting in there right now. There were numerous people, folks online that asked, specifically, especially for Knox County, because we had 2 tornadoes there. We had the Altona and the one in Galva. We had a lot of folks ask, why was there no tornado warning in Knox County on Sunday when there were 2 observed tornadoes? So I want to speak to that for a second, because what we saw was the National Weather Service, I believe, had put out a severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag. And the reason they do that, especially with that type of event, is you have a line of storms coming in from the southwest. And what you get are those brief spin-up tornadoes. And that's exactly what happened for many of these on Sunday, by the way. You may see a brief little circulation on one radar scan.
Yes.
90 seconds later, you get another radar scan and it's gone. They're so quick. So the only one that we really saw clearly was the Geneseo one on radar. That one actually had that debris signature that I talked about earlier this week. And I'll show you here again to remind you what that looks like. This is the only one that I remember when I was going back and looking at the data that had that debris signature, where the tornado was on the ground long enough and strong enough to actually loft something that the radar could detect. So these are tricky. The other thing is it was night, it was dark, we can't see anything. That makes it complicated.
Yes, and also I believe Knox also, I mean, this doesn't have, I mean, it could play a role too, as it has that different National Weather Service office.
That's right. And speaking of that, you know, not only do they have the different National Weather Service office, we have to consider how much farther away Knox County is from both radars.
Which makes it harder to get the clear visibility of any velocity or debris.
Exactly. Yeah, if you do the measuring tool here, so the radar is located at the Davenport Airport, you're talking about 50 to 60 miles away. And when you're that far away, the radar beam itself is shooting up higher into the storm. All the rotation is in the low levels of the storm. So we're missing those key areas of the storm that would likely have had the rotation in order to be able to issue a warning.
Yes.
So in a way, you know, not defending that a warning wasn't issued, but I want to give you the meteorology's perspective of this. The person that was sitting in the radar chair, you have to take effect the fact that the Knox County is so far away, not just from our radar, but the Lincoln office, which covers Knox County, which is right down here, they're even further away, I believe, from the radar. If we do that. Yeah, they're like 77 miles away versus 50 miles here in the Quad Cities. So that radar is even worse when it comes to kind of surveying the low levels of the storm. I'm not going to go on a soapbox, but all I will say is we need another radar.
Right there.
Somewhere here in northeast Missouri. This is a huge radar hole for us here in this country. And we're not the only ones. There are other places, too, that have big radar holes.
Oh, yeah.
But we absolutely need something right down here in terms of a radar to fill in the gap to get us a little bit better coverage. Now, I know Western Illinois University has their own radar, but it's not very powerful. It can only kind of localize the county here.
I see.
And so at least they have something. But yeah, we need another radar down here.
We need one in Keokuk.
Does anybody have an extra 100 million lying around they want to
awesome.
put into the radar fund for Northeast Missouri?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's when you're doing storm coverage. Anytime we have to go down here to Burlington and in here, it gets very messy. We can barely pull up velocity data because it's so far away, and yeah, it just gets tricky.
It gets very tricky.
Very tricky. Hats off to James, though. Oh my gosh, all that coverage.
He did all that. Yeah.
He rocked it.
He killed it.
He absolutely rocked it. He did a fantastic job.
But that's what do we expect? I mean, come on.
I know. He's a pro.
He's a pro. Best of the best.
Yes. Amen. Any other questions anybody has that's on the stream today that we can answer?
So far, none right now.
Okay, we got some other weather stuff that we can talk about.
Weather.
There's always something going on weather-wise. Again, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in there. Shout it out. Let us know. It'll be some other stuff I can talk about too when it comes to some weather-related questions. So get them in, and we'll see if there's some other stuff that we can pop up here.
I mean, what about rainfall? So we have another system kind of moving through potentially on Friday.
We do. In fact, you just read my mind. That's the seed that I was just going to pop up for you because we do have a very, very active pattern this week.
We do.
So I'm going to close back out of some of this stuff that we were playing with here. So you're going to see a couple of graphics bounce up on your screen. Don't want to save that because I need that for my newscast at 11.
Yeah.
We will go to the rainfall tracker here. And we're going to let this zoom out a little bit so we can see. This is going to be through early next week. And we'll take you through a couple of different ones. I believe this is the European right now. So the European has a lot of heavy rainfall to the west of us. And that makes sense with the trough coming in Sunday into Monday into Tuesday. It's going to be a slow progression to get that to go to the east. If you look at the GFS, we can see if there's some agreement. We're going to give it a minute to load all of the data. That's got to drive in here.
When I was looking at the models, there's somewhat of a pretty good agreement actually with the two right now.
Yeah, and spot on. Yeah, look at that. We have agreement that most of the heaviest rain is going to be in northwest Iowa. And we're sitting still pretty good with rain here. We get an update to the drought monitor tomorrow morning, and that will include some significant improvement across much of the region. So looking forward to seeing what that has to offer. I'm going to do another little thing here on the fly too. It may or may not work. This is the thing is we can play around with this a little bit, if you will. And I can go back. I'm going to go back to this today, 23rd. Let's go back to the 19th just to see if this will fill in here. And I'll give it a minute to load the data. This will tell us, it's kind of an estimate of how much rain has fallen since the weekend. And I'm kind of curious to see this too. We're going to give it a minute to load in all the data. But yeah, the new drought outlook comes out tomorrow. I do not expect any worsening drought conditions. I expect just only improvement at this point. And I know now some of the farmers are kind of going to be wanting to look for a couple of dry days to get the planting done.
That's true.
Yeah.
We need a couple of those.
We need a couple, and we're going to get some this weekend. So I think those fields will be busy both Saturday and Sunday for sure.
Yes.
Based on what I've heard from some of the farmers that I know out in the community. They're ready to go.
Ready to go.
Some of them have already started. So,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They are ready and chomping at the bit to go.
And as we get towards it, looks like the second half of next week a little bit calmer too.
Much, much calmer. Yes, absolutely going to be much calmer. And that's something I've been looking forward to, too. We need a little bit of a break. It's been nice, too, that we haven't really jumped into summer.
No.
That tends to happen here where we get these really big pushes of warmth where we go well into the 80s in April, and then it just stays hot and continues to remain hot. Thankfully, that's not the case. We're actually getting the warmth in a little bit of spurts, which is nice.
Which is great.
Nice and easy is what we like. I'm going to go adjust this to our palette. There we go. So this is since the weekend, the amount of rain that we've seen. That's pretty good.
That is very good. Especially what's great is in northeast Iowa where we're seeing some of the worst drought conditions.
Yes. And I'm going to put that on there too. Speak of the devil. So we'll put the drought monitor on there, and I'm going to take the observed rainfall out so you can see kind of how this is all stacking up. So there's the drought monitor. Obviously, where you have the darker color, the worse the drought is. Yellow, that bright yellow is pre-drought condition. And then that darker yellow is actual drought. So you can see, like you said, Peter, a lot of northeast Iowa is in level 1 drought. And then a lot of pre-drought to the south of that. But if you look at where the bulk of the rain has fallen, you can notice, too, if it wants to load, that you... it just does not want to work with me today. There it is. You can notice that a lot of the rain has fallen in that corridor that's needed it the most.
Yes.
In northeast Iowa.
Yes, making up for it.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a nice improved map as we go into tomorrow morning. I'll give folks last call for questions on 9:29. We got 1 minute left on the clock.
Can get one in.
Who's going to get it in
Who's
there?
going to get it?
Somebody will.
Hope so.
Maybe. If not, no worries. We're going to be back again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and you can also submit the question at WQ80.com.
Yes.
Way to do it.
Yes. I think we've drained us with so many weather impact alerts.
I know. People are just like, oh.
We've been busy.
There's been a lot of weather. It's been busy.
Yes.
We hear you. We hear you. So we're going to catch a little bit of a break this weekend. Then we'll get you ready for what comes our way as we go into early next week. I will see you guys coming up on GMQC at 11. Looking forward to that. Thanks again, Peter, for joining me today.
It's always the best.
It's good to have you right by my side here. This guy's amazing, let me tell you. We will go ahead and we'll let you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I'll see you later this morning, and hopefully we'll see you right back here next week. Have a good day, Quad Cities.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.